Okay, I might as well start talking because we're waiting for Courtney. Um, Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another week of Giver. Um, we had a little bit of technical difficulties last week. And it was, as you can tell, if you watched last week's episode, I was very upset about it. And a lot of you messaged me and were like, don't worry, it's not a big deal. And I appreciate that so much. Part of my personality is that I kind of I'm a bit hard on myself. But honestly, last week it was more about I knew how good that episode was and I knew it couldn't be recreated. So it was disappointing. But that being said, we're going to have Iain back for next week's episode if he's not too tired because he's very close to the Toronto Pro Show. But I didn't want to do it immediately after because I feel like when you're like, you've already heard the questions and you've already recorded recently and then you go to do it again, it doesn't really feel as authentic because you're still remembering what you said the last time. You're expecting what the questions are going to be. You're expecting what the other person that you're with is going to. Um, Hi.
Hi, love. Can you hear me? Whoopsie. Hello, hello.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi, I already started. We're recording. I was just telling them about, or I was just talking about the technical mishap of the episode with Iain.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. It's fine.
You're frozen.
Hello.
Oh my God, that's so much better.
Better?
Yes. I was just saying that I'm going to record with Iain again, but I didn't want to like record too soon after because then it feels like a bit fake and forced.
Yeah.
Because you're like expecting the questions and you're expecting what the other person's going to say. And then it's just kind of weird. So
I agree.
And honestly, I got a lot more questions like after within that like 24-hour period. So I just screenshot everything and I'll just do it again with him. And I said probably next week, depending how dead he is.
Yeah.
Because he's close to his show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys need to do a redo. It was just getting juicy. And then
I know. I said too, I'm like, he was so like, I mean, he always is. He's like very witty and like quick with his responses, but he was like, I don't know. He was so
extra
good.
witty.
Yeah.
Extra good. That's okay. You guys will do it again.
How are you? You need to tell us about your trip.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it was when did I get back? I got back last week. It's been like I've been all over the place. So got back last week.
Crazy.
We're also moving. So don't need to get into all that right now, but we're moving, get back from a trip. Christopher leaves like a few days after. He's gone for a week. So it's just like a lot's going on. But the trip was great. Went to Dubai and then went to India. I don't think I would go back to Dubai. If anyone from Dubai is listening, it's not because I don't love the country, but I just feel like you can kind of, for how far it is, you can experience that like shopping and like the beaches and whatnot in America, you know?
It's just become a bit more like westernized or
Yeah, and it's a beautiful country. Like we went sand dune buggy riding or whatever, and I like almost died. Christopher was driving like a fucking maniac. Literally
surprise.
Psycho. I'm like, oh my God. So that was fun. Like it was great. But don't know if I'd go back. And then India was amazing. A very short trip that was more like business focused for Christopher and the Raw team. So they were kind of like running around with their partners over in India, but that was a lot of culture. That was wow. Like, I mean, from just the way people live, and it was amazing. I wish I had more time there. I wish I could. We went to New Delhi. I wish I could go to like the other side of the country, like Mumbai and see more, like Taj Mahal and stuff like that. But overall, it was amazing. Highly recommend. But you need time. Like if you're going to go that far, you have to like plan it. You know, you got to really, we were with
Yeah.
people from India. So very blessed that they like showed us around, and we got kind of more of a, like we saw, they took us to like the president's house, not in, but like we went and saw some like cool culture things, you know, like,
Sightseeing, yeah.
yeah. So that was fun. But you definitely need like more time over there if you're gonna go. Like it was just kind of.
Okay, the real question, did you get diarrhea?
I didn't, you guys. I didn't. But listen, I was very cautious because our guts, this kind of goes along with the episode of today.
Yeah.
Our gut bacteria and everything is different than people in different countries. Like we grow up eating, if you're from America or wherever, Canada, we grow up eating differently than across the world does. So maybe something that's like in their water that's not in ours, they can handle, we can't, vice versa. So like I just had, I was careful with
Yeah.
kind of just, you know, I mean, even the locals say, don't go on the street and eat street food. Do not do that. Like for us, it's okay. But if you do that, you'll probably,
Shit
no, it
yourself.
just won't be good. Yes, you'll probably shit yourself. So didn't do any of that. Like we went to good restaurants. Like, you know, we went to like some authentic, I sent you a picture. Remember I was eating the naan?
Yes.
The first time I ever had Indian food, you guys, was with Melissa and Ian and Christopher in Mexico at a freaking resort, like out of all places. But that was good Indian food. That was great.
That entire resort, all their food was so good.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then I went, and then like the second time I ever had it was in India, which was great. Yeah, so it was good. It was fun. But I didn't shit myself and didn't get deli belly or whatever sickness you get from going there. I don't know. Not saying everyone gets that, but gotta watch out, you know?
Well, that's good.
So,
and
yeah.
we're glad you're back.
Thanks, guys. I'm happy to be back. Really
and then
happy.
you're leaving again for Italy or Rome. Yeah. Where are you going?
I'm going to Italy. I'm going to Rome because.
Are you staying the entire time in Rome though?
No.
Okay.
We're jumping around, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he ready to like work and walk and live?
I have no idea, but we're just going to roll with it. I think he'll like it. You know, I really do.
He's so tired.
He is. Yeah, he is. I feel bad.
Poor little baby.
I do feel bad, but as long as I already reached out to like an Italian meal prep company. There's a lot of bodybuilders and people in Italy.
Yeah, huge bodybuilding culture in Italy. I mean, think of Yamamoto. Like Yamamoto's huge.
Yeah, and they're over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a supplement company, guys. But so I already reached out to like a company. I'm like scouting gyms. I'm like, it'll be good. And that's really all he needs: food and be able to gym and maybe like some rest. But I also want this to be like a decompressing trip, you know?
Yeah. Are you renting a car?
No. So we're going to take like from Rome, a flight over to more of this Milan, the south. Yeah. We're only staying there for like literally 4 hours. Yeah. And then then you have to take a car from there to like Lake Como, I think, or I have to look.
Yeah.
Lake Como?
I would expect you guys to go there.
Yeah.
So someone's driving you or you're renting a car. Okay. Yeah. You have a driver.
And I'm not going to lie. I've been to Italy. So like the roads and stuff, maybe different in Rome. I've never been to Rome. Mm-hmm. But like when you go to like southern Italy, like Positano and all, it is like a road like as big as your kitchen table on a cliff. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not, you're not driving that, Christopher. Like,
yeah, no. I feel like the roads there are scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And driving on the other side, like that's scary.
Yes. So then we're just gonna like kind of pop around and then head back to Rome, and then it's a direct flight from Rome to Miami. It's like 9 hours or something, so it's good.
Yeah, I didn't realize how like easy it was to fly to Rome or to fly to Paris. Like it's I think from Montreal to fly to Paris, it's like very short and easy and direct. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, Montreal and Toronto have even direct flights to India.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like Europe isn't like 8-9 hour travel time isn't awful compared to like Australia,
I know.
India, Bali. Like those are like pushing 15 plus hours. That's when it kind of, you get a little antsy.
Yeah, you just have to like fly overnight and drug yourself
Yes, pretty
and
much.
like have comfortable accommodations.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
So,
least for the big boys.
yeah. I'm like, I've done that trip like multiple times, like South Korea, Australia, in a ball in the back. Like, but like not eating too. Because on flights, like if you're bored, you snack.
I
Snacking's great.
can't.
No, but like, yeah, you just get like constipated. And
And like swollen. I
the
just can't.
worst.
All I
I
do is
know.
chug water and read and try to sleep.
It's
Like,
better. Yeah, that's
yeah,
better.
I
So
like can't eat when I travel.
I know. I like it because it's kind of just like a thing to do, but I know. Yeah.
Okay, so you posted on your story.
Yes.
Well, you posted a post actually, right? Like a
Yeah.
week ago?
Yeah. And I kind of want to like touch base on that post too.
Yeah,
Because I want
go
you
for
guys
it.
to walk away with something that's like tangible. I want to get to these questions though, maybe in part 2, because like I have so many questions I screenshot and they're all great. And I feel bad because when I was struggling with my gut health, these are things I wanted to know too. And I wish there was like when I went through my gut health issues, it was in like 2017. Like that's when they started. And I wish there was more, like a lot of the information I got was just research online. Where now I feel like gut health is like a trendy thing. It's like, oh, let's talk about gut health. When it like they almost like people almost make it like this, I don't know, sexy term, when really like if you're struggling with your gut health, it is uncomfortable and it is like
Mhm.
painful and it is not enjoyable. But now there's so much like TikTok things and like bone broth is like so trendy on TikTok. Like girls waking up and doing like eye mask and like drinking their bone broth, and that's like phenomenal. But I was making like homemade bone broth in like 2017, like researching a recipe, like fucking brewing my bones, like wild shit, like nothing sexy about that shit. There's really not. So I want to like break this down and just give it to you guys very straight. And Mel hasn't really gone through any crazy gut health issues, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But there was a time in your life when I was with you a few times when your stress was so high, it was showing through your gut.
Mhm.
Remember?
Mhm.
So, like the physical stress in the body that you were experiencing, mental, physical,
Mhm.
you started to have like issues.
I didn't believe that before.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
kind of like unempathetic and shitty, to be honest, when people would be like, how do you say? Because it's like I understand when people have like I understood when people have like a physical issue and then like there's an answer. So like something's wrong. So it's like showing up physically, but I didn't really understand fully like the psychosomatic symptoms that you could
Mm,
get.
yeah.
And I was so like I didn't understand that that was such a possibility, that when I was going through it, I had convinced myself that like something was wrong.
I
I was like,
remember.
I have cancer. I okay. I mean, context. I got in some trouble a couple years ago, and it was very traumatic, very stressful, very scary. I was getting ready for a show, and I never had like digestive issues or anything like that. If I eat like shit, I feel like shit, but like it's not
Yes.
a big deal. And I couldn't like sleep or like relax because I just always felt like I had to go to the bathroom. Like I felt like my colon was being like twisted, and like it was crampy and like so painful, and it was 24 hours a day. So I and like Christopher and Courtney, they always make fun of me because I use like sugar-free syrup and stevia in my coffee and in my oats. Like I don't even say, I don't think I abuse it, do I?
No, you don't abuse it. She just like likes I mean, I do too. I like my stuff sweet. And Mel's like, oh, I'm not using honey. There's 100 calories and 30 grams of carbs in 1 tablespoon.
Mhm.
But that makes sense for someone who's like tracking their calories or macros, or you're competing like professionally, getting ready for a show a
Mhm.
few years ago. Like, yeah, you're not going to put a huge whopping scoop of honey or syrup, maple syrup or something in your drink. No, like you're going to use sugar free.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it.
And it had never bothered me. But then all of a
Mm.
sudden I started to have these symptoms. So obviously the first thing I did was I cut all that stuff out. And then it was the same. And then I cut everything out. I was water fasting.
I
And
remember.
for me to be water fasting, I listen, I fast, but I'll always drink like coffee or I'll have like a smoothie. You know what I mean? I'm not really someone that like is that intense about like fasting like that, or like
Mm.
having like no calories or whatever people do before they do fasted cardio. Like some people won't even have EAAs because they don't
Yeah.
want to break the fast. I was never like that. I didn't overthink it too much. But I water fasted and it was the same thing. There was nothing coming out, obviously. There was water coming out, but there was so much pain. And finally it it had it had to do with stress. And it was
Yeah.
such an intense physical symptom that was showing up. It was really scary.
Yeah, I remember you're like Googling. I know in Google, like we get on the internet and we start to research, right? Or like research our symptoms, and that like can be beneficial, like being your own health advocate, but also again, you can go down a spiral. Like you were like, I have colon cancer, like something's wrong with me, because you start to think the worst. And it was scary for you because you never experienced anything like that. And it
No,
wasn't the
and like
food or the drinks or the
no.
whatever. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I have a really high pain tolerance. I
Mm.
really, really do. Like filler in my lip, it's super painful. Dissolving filler in your lip, super painful. I just sit there, close my eyes and breathe through it. This pain, I remember sitting there like just wishing that I could die because I was in so much pain. And I think I spent 8 hours a day in the bathroom.
No, like you guys, she's not kidding, because her and Ian were living with us for like a short period of time.
Hmm.
And you were. Yeah. I felt so bad. I'm like, you would wake up and just go, or like all throughout the night, and your sleep's now getting affected. It was just like a whole thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it was due to your like
Stress.
emotional stress
Yeah.
and the stress you were experiencing.
It like extreme, extreme. Um, I mean, Candace at one point said PTSD. Like there, it was like very scary. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a, oh, work is a lot or any. It was a very scary time, and I
Yeah.
don't think, I don't know. There was just like no way for me to mentally handle it. So I think it just showed up physically, which
Yeah.
is I don't
Exactly.
know. I never
Yeah.
really had experienced anything like that before.
Yeah. So with my story, thank you for sharing, Mel. With
Hmm.
my story, it was kind of this, it was a combo. It was emotional, and like emotional stress that was coming out physically due to what I was doing at the time, and like putting a lot of pressure on myself. And then it was also my body like breaking down. And I really feel like it was the perfect storm of the physical stress I was putting my body through with the emotional stress and pressure I felt. So I'm going to
What?
try to
Yeah.
really condense
What
this.
year was this?
Okay, this is 2017. Okay, you
Okay.
guys. So for those who don't know, okay, right? I used to compete, okay? Did it at a high level for a long time at a very young age. So in 2017, I was getting ready for a show. Me and Melissa love this show, the Arnold Classic, the worst. I was getting ready for this
Nemesis.
show, literally getting ready for this show. And I just came off winning the Olympia. So, number one, my body was tired because I did 3 shows, like week, week, week. I did a show before the Olympia. I did the Olympia, and then I did a show right after. My body was tired. I didn't want to go into another prep like a month and a half later. You know how prep is for the Arnold. You have to start at like literally December, right?
You have to start November, December,
Yeah.
prep through Christmas, through winter. It's like the worst. It's
Yeah,
actually the worst.
I know.
No disrespect to the Arnold, but like
No. The
I hate it.
timing is
Yeah, the
just
timing
not,
is not good.
yeah. And if people don't know like really anything about bodybuilding or competing, it is for men and women, but especially women, it is putting your body through extreme physical stress. I don't care what any woman says, you are eating very low calories. Okay. You are. You are. You're like, I can eat like 5,000. Probably not. Like, yes, maybe there's like the odd person, but you are eating extremely low calories, low carbs, low calories, taking fat burners, other things. You're training like a maniac. You're doing high amounts of cardio, weight training. I used to do a lot of circuit training. You're just putting your body through a lot. I lost my period for years. It's just a lot of stress, okay, on the body. Granted, I was choosing to do this. I loved what I did. I didn't complain. I wasn't like, "Oh, fuck this." Like I loved what I did. So, I wasn't really like phased. Nothing was ever really wrong with me. I could pound all the like sugar-free stuff, all the EAAs, all the pre-workouts. I was fine, never bloated, good, fine. But here's the thing. I was like 24 years old, 23. I wasn't really in tune with my gut health or my health because nothing was wrong with me, right? Like you don't really start looking into your health until symptoms start to show up.
Mhm.
So I just get off this win and winning all of these shows. I'm like, whew, like that was a lot. Feel like I can take a break. I had some high up professional pretty much tell me like, no, you need to do the Arnold. Like you just won the Olympia. It would be good for you. Do the Arnold. And when you usually win an Olympia, you kind of like get to like chill. Like you don't really need to keep doing shows because you just like won the top of the top. Like you're good. What else do you like? You're good. You usually wait until the next year, like Christopher. Like he
Well, why
just
don't
does the Olympia.
like share what the goal is when you're competing and share when you win the Olympia what that gets you.
So, okay, yes, when you compete professionally and you win pro shows, you get to you qualify for the Olympia. Then you compete in the Olympia, which is like pretty much like the Olympics of
Mhm.
sports, right? Like that, or
Mhm.
the Super Bowl. That's the top.
Mhm.
So when you qualify to compete in that, that's like a big deal. But when you win the Olympia, you qualify for life. So even now, if I wanted to like go compete on the Olympia this year, I could like walk back on stage and I don't have to do a pro show before to qualify.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the goal is to qualify, right? And I was qualified. I was good. I needed a break. Like I actually did. Like I look back on my body and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I was like shriveling away.
Did you know at the time that you needed a break? Like hindsight,
Yes.
you did. In that
Yes.
moment, you knew you needed a break.
Oh my God. I was so fried. I was so tired. I was so fried. I didn't want to like keep going.
Mhm.
But again, I was young. I didn't have a voice. I was just like, okay, I'll do whatever you like. Instead of having like a voice and being like, no, I don't want to do this right now. Like I actually need to like relax. I didn't.
Mhm.
So it's fine. Live and learn. This is where everything started. Okay. I also got back into a relationship with someone I was dating before, and there was a lot of stress with that. This person moved in with me, and my roommate at the time. I just, that relationship brought up a lot of emotion because I just never could like be myself in that relationship. So I was like putting on this like front and like, I wouldn't say being fake. I just wasn't being all of me. I just was like dimming parts of myself and just like,
Do you think
to,
you were expending a lot of energy in the relationship as well as what you were going, like trying to compete, you know?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I get back in this relationship that looking back was stressful for me. It was. I
Mhm.
didn't know it at the time, but it's okay. Get back in this relationship. And then I start prepping for the Arnold. So I'm going into another prep. I'm going back into my extremes of dieting, training, pushing myself, okay? So I'm doing that. And this is where it all started. I was 2 weeks out from the Arnold. So literally like you're ready. You're about to compete. I'm doing sprints on the treadmill and I'm getting off and I'm like, oh my God, I'm having like regurgitation, like acid reflux. And I've never had that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I ate like 3 hours before I ate a meal. And I'm like, I'm getting off. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm kind of like spitting up. I'm like, huh, this is weird. Like this has never happened to me. I don't know. I'm just, okay, just not really going to think about it. Get back on the treadmill, finish my sprints, keep going. So the last 2 weeks of that prep, I had on and off acid reflux. Like it was the start of like food kept coming back up.
Is that what acid reflux is?
Yeah, it's like GERD. Like the food you eat, regurgitation, GERD, acid reflux, it's all the same thing, like heartburn. Like, but my food was literally, it wasn't just like burning in my chest, it was coming back up my esophagus.
And out your mouth?
And out my mouth. I was like spitting up. Not like chunks of, not my whole meal, but like legit, like
liquid.
If I ate like vegetables. I know that sounds so gross, you guys, but like this is where I was like, oh my God, something's like really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to like notice, like when I had like mustard or lemon water, like it got worse. Like the acids, like the vinegar and acids, like it made things worse. So I was just kind of like, okay, maybe I'll stop using mustard. Now I'm like a week out and all my focus is like, how can I keep my food down? And this is not intentional. This is not me, just to be clear. Okay, right. Going to like puke. Like this was completely unintentional. So the show rolls around. I get second place. So I don't win the Arnold. And I was like, again, it was a lot of high pressure because I felt like, oh my gosh, I just won the Olympia. Like, you better win the Arnold. You're at the top. Like, you need to keep this going. I lose. And then I do a
Who
show.
beat you?
Angelica.
Angelica beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And did you look? How did you look? How did your body look?
I did not look bad at all. I was very lean. I was tight, but I lost some muscle. I looked like more like
stringy?
Skinny. Okay. Yeah. Then like the Olympia, I looked really full and tight and like muscular, my quads and like my shoulder. This, I just kind of looked like, oh, she's not popping it as much. She's just kind of like a little weathered. Her body looks a little tired.
Burnt
Something's
out.
wrong. Yes. Then I go across the country and do a show in Hawaii right after the Arnold, which is in Ohio. And then I go across the world to Australia and do another show right after that. So it's like back to back to back.
What is it? I understand like the pressure after winning to do the next biggest show, which would be the Arnold. What is it after the Arnold when you knew before that you needed a break that's pushing you to continue to do shows when you're already qualified for the Olympia?
I just felt like it was being in the scene, being relevant, being like still like, oh, I can hang and do this and like look at me and like wait until I go in next year and I'm going to do it. And this is where girls just don't understand, whether they compete or not, that long periods of like stress or not taking time off, it actually does you worse. Like it does your body worse.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Do you think today, because there's social media and you can use your platform to stay relevant without being on stage, it's easier for girls now? Because girls don't really like think about Jen Dory. Like she doesn't really feel the need to do that.
Yeah, no, I think it is easier. We're like back in the day, like you can make money on social media, but not like now. Like you can literally make a full-blown livelihood.
Yeah.
Plus off social media. Where back then it was kind of like, meh, like it's, oh, you do a little post, you show this, but it's like, how do you make money? You know, where now it's like you can stay very relevant and you don't need to compete. Okay. So I do all these shows. And then after Australia, I remember going to Bali and I am like puking my guts out. Okay. Like it was progressively getting worse, like high stress. I'm traveling, I'm trying to eat, like everything was coming back up. I'm like, holy shit, like what is going on? Like I like it was not a good time in my life. And then I was also very, very, very lean, right? I'm just competing. And I started to get like distension in my stomach. Like I literally remember being like having abs and like my stomach like blown out, like a little
Yeah.
like I was like pregnant, like, like I
Yeah.
had a little belly, but it wasn't fat. Obviously, it was just like distension.
Yeah.
So I get back to the United States, and this is where like my gut health journey really began. And that was also at the time didn't know, but I was done competing. Like my career ended after that. And I didn't know, right? Because I'm like, oh, well, I'll just get this good and then I'm going to compete next year. I'm going to compete this year at the Olympia again and like, defend my title, all the things. Never got to do that. It's fine. Had a lot of resentment at the time, but like we've moved on and it's okay. So I'll get back, and I remember coming back to Chicago where I'm from. I was living in Arizona at the time, and I went to go see a ton of GI doctors. So the first doctor I went to was like, okay, we're going to do an endoscopy, which is a camera down the throat into your stomach. You're like Twilight put to sleep, and they like see what's going on. Cause I'm like, I'm puking. Like there's something wrong. And I remember everything so clear. So this doctor was like, okay, yeah, we see that the first part of your small intestine, which is called your duodenum, is like severely inflamed. Like there's little red bumps all over it. And I'm like, okay, like, all right, what does that mean? He's like, okay, like what we're going to do, we're going to give you this PPI, which is, I think, called a protein pump inhibitor. Mel, do you know what this is? You said, like,
Yeah, it's
is
a
that
protein
right?
pump inhibitor. Yeah.
Which pretty much just like helps keep heartburn, acid reflux at bay. And I literally at 24 years old intuitively knew this is a fucking band-aid approach. There is something wrong. I don't just want to stop puking. Yeah, like no, puking is not fun, but like something is wrong. What caused this my inflammation in my intestine in the first place? Like what's
Well,
going on?
when he told you that you have an inflamed small intestine, did you like immediately say like, well, I want to figure out how to fix that inflammation? Like when you were that, do you remember like him telling you that and you thinking like, cuz like a PPI is not going to do that.
No. No. I just like I never said that to him.
No, you're young and I'm sure he's like an authoritative
Oh,
doctor,
yeah.
but did you like think it? Did you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100. I didn't even I think I took the PPI for 2 days and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this. I'm not doing this shit. We need to like heal the gut. There's something
Yeah.
going on. Like, like, no, this isn't going to fix it. So do that. And after that, that's when I started doing a lot of research. It's like, okay, what heals the gut lining? What helps, calm down inflammation, acid reflux? I started, getting into a lot of the research of like healing and sealing your gut with like bone broth and cutting out really acidic foods like coffee, spices, ketchup, lemon, like high acidic foods that can make your acid reflux worse. I pretty much just like eliminated.
Can I ask a
And
question?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you're saying healing and sealing the gut,
Hmm.
is that talking about sealing your intestine?
No, not sealing your intestine. Like we have like a gut lining. Like
Yes.
we have like a gut lining. And I feel like there,
Which is in your stomach.
yes.
Okay.
So I felt like, okay, my gut lining is impaired. And that is something called like leaky gut. And there's
Yeah.
pretty much like bacteria and different things getting in here that shouldn't be in here, especially like my small intestine. Like there's
Okay.
there's something wrong. So we need to like fix that. And like I think I just destroyed my gut health with, I'm going to say, with competing. Like I really did. The dieting, I just like trashed it. I didn't take care of my body and on an internal level. It was all for a physical appearance, which is fine. It was what I was doing at the time, but I just didn't care about what I did to my insides. So okay, I start doing all the research. I start like getting into all of this stuff. And then it slowly is like kind of getting better, but I'm also like feeling stress and pressure, right? I'm like emotionally, I'm stressed because I'm like sad and something's going on and I'm trying to figure out answers and I don't really know, but I'm trying. I'm in like this high stressful relationship. I'm also about to start prep again for the Olympia. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to prep for the Olympia when I can't even eat? And my gut started to progressively get, it got worse before it got better. I'm going to be very honest.
So as you're trying to heal it, so you're
Mhm.
researching and you're implementing these things and you're probably being nicer to your body, right?
Yeah, I was frustrated, but I
Yeah.
really was trying to be
You
like,
were
okay, what do you
trying.
need? Yeah.
Yeah. And it continued to progress throughout that.
Yes. Yes. And then I started seeing doctors all over the United States before I start prepping for the Olympia. I remember seeing a doctor in Newport Beach, California. She was like, "Oh, well, all you need to do is go vegan and eat fiber." And these aren't like these are MDs. These are gastrointestinal whatever. They're GI doctors, however you
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
They're like, they're not like I'm seeing Joe Schmo in the street. Like they are
Yeah.
trained in gut health, right?
Yeah.
So I try that. I try going vegan. Like, no, I can't I can't even like keep food in my stomach. How am I supposed to slam it with like fiber and all these vegetables? And like I'm like destroyed. I go see another doctor. I get my gallbladder tested where I literally get dye injected into me, like a dye. And it like there's like I lay, it's like not like an MRI, but you lay on this thing done at the hospital and it like sees how fast your gallbladder like takes the dye and empties it. Like, cause I almost at this point, like as the months kept progressing, I was like, I just need something to be wrong with me so I can like, it can just be done. Like, oh, it's my gallbladder. Take it out. Boom. Like, great. It's under your gallbladder's perfect. I'm like, fuck. Like, I wanted like something tangible to be wrong to
W-
fix the issue.
Were these doctors like asking you about your history, like com- competing and like what you took when you competed and stuff like that?
No, no doctor asked me about that kind of stuff. None.
What?
No. Mm-mm. It was all, and this is where I get frustrated is like, we need doctors, we need MDs, we need Western medicine. So grateful for hospitals and all the things they provide. But at the same time, there was no root of like, there was no history. Like, hey, what have you been through? What's going on? And this is where like a lot of these questions that we got to ask Mel were kind of about like, where do I start? What do I do? This doctor just wants me to go on birth control. This one just said to do this. We're like, I think again, MDs are great, but like working with like an ND, which is like a naturopathic doctor who takes more of like a holistic, not band-aid approach and can kind of do like alternative testing and stuff that, like a breath test, a stool sample test, like like different things using herbs and supplements in a way to like actually fix the issue
Mm-hmm.
rather than just pick, oh well, let's like stop it with this like drug, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um so I'm like getting frustrated because nothing is really working. Like it wasn't working. So then I'm like starting to try to prep for the Olympia. I remember I'm like a month into prep and I can't even to prep you guys, you need full focus. You need focus. You need to like be dialed in. You need to just really like yeah, you just got to dial in. And I could not even focus, let alone eat when my mind is like so beyond just flustered with my health. Like I just there was no way. There was no way. There was too much emotion. There was just no way. So I'm trying to prep and then I remember I think when did I make the video? I pulled out of the Olympia in like August and the Olympia was in like mid-September. So like 6 weeks out, I pulled out. And that was really emotional for me. I was really sad because it's like everything I knew at the time, which was my competing career, which was what I knew since I was 17, was gone. It was just gone. And it's like I had no control. I always had control over what I ate, how I looked, what I did. And this was just like all control stripped. And it's like, hey, you're not in control anymore. Like, you're not calling the shots. It's time to like take a seat.
How did you
And,
come to the decision to drop out? Do you remember?
I just knew I couldn't. I just knew I was going to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Granted, I still looked good, okay? But I can't even keep my stomach in. It was literally like distended and huge, and I'm puking. My muscle is like gone. Like I'm skinny fat. I am. Like I'm not. Like I'm like I can't go humiliate myself like that. I will literally get on stage and I will complete like I'm defending Olympia champ. Like I would be blessed to probably be called in the first call out. Like that's, you know, like that would be a gift. And I'm like, I'm not, there's no fucking way. And it was the best decision. It was at the time. I'm like, oh, I should have done it, whatever. But now looking back, I'm like, there's no way. Your body was speaking to you. And the smartest thing you did at 24 years old was actually listen.
Yeah.
Because your ego was like, oh, I need to do it, push through. I had my coach being like, come on, we can do it, kid. And I'm like, okay. But intuitively, this is kind of when I felt like I started to not have a voice, but like actually listen to myself, like to make that decision and tell like the IFBB and my coach and people that were like supporting me, like, no, I'm not doing this. That was a big decision. That was hard, but it was the best thing. So I decided to drop out.
And you're still in the relationship with your boyfriend at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I remember moving to a different state with him.
Okay.
And I left all of like what I knew in Arizona, my girlfriends, the environment. I just like left it all. And I pretty much just like left them in the dust. And I don't want to say I stopped talking to them, but I didn't put a lot of effort into the relationship anymore, the relationships I had with my friends. And I just focused all my attention into the current relationship I was in. And I moved. And that is when my issues just like went tenfold, like beyond. 2018 would be the hardest year of my life. Hardest year. It was the best year. I met Christopher in 2018, but it was the hardest year. At the beginning, end of 2017, beginning 2018, that was, and I know that was a great year for you, Mel. Got married, you did the Olympia with your whole fam. Just so different how we all go through these phases. So that year was the year that I was like, I devoted my whole existence to my health. I went back to school. I did a little like certification school thing for holistic nutrition. I did it online. I really like started to learn about food as medicine and not just like as something that's like a calorie. Like, yes, food is fuel, it's calories, it's energy, but it's also like medicine. So I started to learn about that. I started to just really get into what the gut needs to thrive. I started to like be in tune with my body. But at the same time, you guys, I was also extremely depressed. My health was really starting to affect me emotionally. Like I gained a lot of weight. My hair started falling out. I was huge. Like when we drop this episode, I want you guys to go over to my Instagram because I will post pictures that I've literally never posted in videos. Like my stomach was huge. It was wild. Like I still had a shapely like little butt and legs, but then I just had like, I literally looked 3 months pregnant. 4, I don't know. However, whatever. But I had a belly, like a full on huge stomach. And that really started to just affect my confidence, how I felt about myself. I was also in contracts at the time with supplement companies, with Gymshark, with all of these like, brands that like people want to be a part of. I felt so much pressure to be like all these other girls, and like I was just going through fucking hell. And I didn't feel good. I had to go to events and I remember that year I had to go to the Olympia, and my body and face is plastered all over Vegas on like billboards at the Olympia, and I'm like hiding in a hat with like a huge sweatshirt on in Vegas, like in September. It's fucking hot. Like hiding because I'm like so embarrassed. I feel like shit. I'm sad. And it was just really emotional. I'm like kind of getting emotional talking about this because I'm like, wow, I haven't like brought these feelings back up in a minute. So I like crumbled. I felt like a lot of my identity, this goes back to something we talked about before, Mel, was put into my looks and to how I presented myself, and it was all gone. So at the time it was the hardest thing, but it was also like the greatest thing because looking back now, it really taught me how to love myself and see myself differently other than how I looked. And I'm not saying that is not how it was when I was going through it. I'm saying now, coming out on the other side. It's hard to give yourself a lot of love and grace when you're dealing with stuff, especially like me, who was so, my whole life was my body. My whole existence was, the better I did with this and the better I looked, I got this contract and worked with this sponsor and did this. And it just was all, that was my life.
Can I ask
and I'm
you
like, holy shit.
a personal like question?
Yeah, cut me off anytime. I'm kind of going on a tangent.
I feel like a lot of times you obviously grew up probably really quickly, and you kind of were seen as this like, hot fit girl and like bubbly, happy, like Miss America, really, fitness Miss America. That's like who you were. And you kind of lost all of that in a very short period of time. And do you think if you had had maybe a support system around you that was a bit, I don't want to say deeper, but people around you that truly loved you for who you were and not for like who the world thought you were, do you think it would have been a bit easier to not to get through it? I think either way it would have been extremely difficult, but maybe to like keep your self-worth through it. Does that make sense?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think it would have still been difficult, like you said. Like it would, like it still would have been a lot of changing parts and like things I had to adjust and reframe, and with how I saw myself and whatnot. But like all I knew was like love and acceptance was through how I was perceived, which was like that like bubbly, lovey body, like person. That is like what I knew. That is also how I felt in my relationship. Like I literally felt more loved with the status I brought to the table. So
do you think you felt more loved or only loved though?
Only.
Yeah,
only. And it wasn't even love. So
no.
So yeah, 2018 was a year. That was a year of like a lot of my health. I learned a lot. I went through a lot. I went through a big breakup, went through all the health stuff. I did probably, you guys, every health trend you could think of. I was like desperate.
Were you doing this while you were still in your relationship?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing all these things to fix the physical and nothing's working.
Yeah, nothing's working.
Nothing.
Nothing's working.
Like
Nothing.
not even a sliver of hope of your body reacting to these
No,
things
my body
that
was
you're doing.
getting worse.
Okay.
And you guys, I literally slept upright, like literally slept like upright like this with like 4 pillows behind my back and a puke cup next to my bed. Like a legit fucking cup. So I swear to God, a cup, because I would get up in the middle of the night and have to puke, like spit. It was holy shit. Like it was just being in the car. I had a cup. Like that sounds so disgusting, but
No,
like
it
I
doesn't.
literally couldn't. I could not. Like nothing was staying down. I did every trend. I did the celery juice. I went vegan. I went carnivore. I cut coffee. I added this. I cut and added and did and my body was getting worse. The stress in my life, my relationship was getting higher
Why do you think that is?
because of I think because that person just didn't know how to deal with what I was going through. And I didn't really even know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I just think it was a lot. It just really played into, but it was also such a fucking eye-opening thing. It was such an eye-opening experience. I'm like, oh my God. But at the time, didn't see it, didn't know it. Just didn't. So fast forward, we end this relationship in 2018, end of 2018, like July, August. I moved back to Arizona. At this time I started seeing some of my old friends again. That I kind of like shut out of my life. I shut a lot of people out of my life during that time with my health, but also I just felt there was a lot of things in the relationship where I just felt like I had to push those people away. Not going to go down that hole, but yeah, I go back to Arizona. I start to kind of have like a little bit of joy again in my life. I'm hanging out with my old friends. I'm going back to like my old gym that I used to train at. I just felt a little bit more joy. I was still I don't want to say I was pretty sick. I was still, the acid reflux and thing, it got better. It got a little bit better. So I kind of saw like hope. I'm like, oh, like there's hope. I still like, I gained like 25, 30 pounds. I still felt really inflamed. I still kind of was dealing with some stuff at that time too. I started working with an ND who was based in Phoenix. Everyone always asked me, her name is Dr. Emily Park. She was a former anesthesiologist. So she's like smart as shit. And she got into like functional medicine. So I started working with her. We started running some tests, like did a breath test. I did a stool. I kind of started like digging into more of the things that were going on. I was put on some like herbs, and I also got on thyroid medication because I had no energy and my hair was falling out and I just felt like shit. So those things helped. And I got some tangible things that I implemented that kind of got me going. So that was kind of when things started to turn, but then also not turn. I was still struggling. Earlier, like after, I don't know, October, November, December, I moved back home to Chicago. So I moved back. I got my implants removed in February, like the beginning of February, because I'm like, oh, there's something still wrong with me. Like, take out the boobs.
And why did you think there was something still wrong with you?
Because I was still dealing with symptoms.
Like
And
acid reflux, or what were the symptoms?
I was still dealing with like fatigue, unable to lose weight, my hair, just overall inflammation, bloating. I was still dealing with like distension, not as
Okay.
bad.
Yeah.
Like, thank God, because I was working with this doctor who kind of like got me on the right direction, did some testing. And she's like, oh, you have like, some overgrowth of bacteria in your small intestines called SIBO. Get you on these herbs. Let's start like kind of cleaning some stuff up. So I was feeling better, but I wasn't feeling like how I felt before,
Yeah.
which was like, I was a kid. I was 23, 24. I was like, no, I had no issues. Nothing was wrong with me. So I'm like, I want to feel like that again. That is what I want to feel like. So
We
I'm
also
just,
always like romanticize the past. You
we
know what I
do.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We always think that we were better before, or life was better before. And it's, I don't know, it's an interesting thing that people do.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, that like, again, this was like such an eye-opening experience, especially now, talking about it at 29, and I went through all this at 23, 24, 25,
Mm-hmm.
26. I'm just like, oh my God. But I still was like reaching. I'm like, I wasn't, this is something I want you guys to take away from this episode. I wasn't giving myself like grace, and I wasn't giving myself enough time to let my body heal. The body will heal. It does want to heal. It just takes time. It does. And we are like a society who's like, no, we need it
So
to be
impatient.
so impatient. We need the answers now. Everything, we can get anything at any time. We want
Mhm.
something on Amazon, it's there the next fucking day. We want to order this, we can express ship it, it's there the next day. We want,
Yeah.
we are just such a we want it now
Instant
society that like,
gratification.
yes, instant gratification. We just don't like to wait. And the body, I'm sorry, it takes time. Like, it took
The
time to get sick, and it's also going to take time to fix.
the most
So,
ironic thing that I think I've noticed with myself is that in the moment, you're so impatient and you think it's taking so long. But then when you actually relax and keep doing your thing, stay consistent, and then it's not really that long. By the
no.
time you're on the other side, you look back and you're like, oh my God, it actually, in the
Yes.
whole span of life, you look back and you're like, oh, it wasn't that long. And it,
No.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Exactly. We just are like, no, now. When it's like, okay, maybe you need 8 weeks. I don't know. Just everyone's
Which is
different.
not a very long time.
No,
But
and like
it feels
yeah,
like it when you're in it. It does.
yes. Yes. And even when I was like, okay, like October, November, December, January, I was feeling better. I was still like, I don't feel great, but I was
Well,
feeling better
do you
than I
think you were
was.
feeling do you think you were feeling better, but it still wasn't perfect, so you didn't really care?
Exactly. I didn't
Yeah.
care. I'm like, oh, wow, my acid reflux is like stopped. Like, okay, like I can eat a little bit more, like I'm feeling better, but it wasn't perfect. So I'm like, take out the boobs. That's it. That's my issue. It's the boobs. I got breast implants at 17 years old, the month before my 18th birthday. Okay. Yes. Was very young. I had them for 7 years. I did not have any issues with my implants. I didn't have pain. It never hurt. I could sprint. I could run. I could do the things. It's a very seamless surgery. Yes, I was young. I know that. Looking back now, probably would have done things differently. But it is what it is. So I removed them at 25. Usually girls like put implants in at 25. I literally removed them. I had them tested at a lab for like mold and all of these things. Came back perfectly fine, intact. Nothing was wrong. So that explant surgery was traumatic. Surgery is traumatic. Whether you are doing something to your face, to your body, to your it could be the smallest thing, going in and like fixing a cut. I don't know, anything. It's traumatic. And the explant surgery was 5 hours long, a bit over 5 hours long. Being under the knife and in anesthesia for 5 hours is like, holy shit. It was taking out the implant, but not just like boop, cut, pop them out. It was removing the capsule around the implant. So your body forms a capsule with any foreign object. that you put in it, whether it's a hip replacement, an implant, a chin implant, I don't know, anything you put in, it forms a capsule around it to keep it it's protection. So to remove the capsule, it's like thick. It's like tar. It's like a tight, like thick capsule. It attaches, it's in the front and it's in the back, so it attaches to your ribs. So to remove it, you can't just like rip it out. It's like scraping away all of the capsule that's attached to your rib cage. So it was a very painful, long surgery. After that surgery, Christopher always says, babe, after that surgery, it was pretty bad. Like, it was not how I looked, but my mental state. I went pretty far backwards because it was very traumatic, and I'm seeing myself differently now. And I'm just, the anesthesia, like, I was not well. I was very depressed after that. Not because like, oh, I lost my implants, but like whatever being under and whatever that happened, I don't know. I was like not okay. So my mental health really went downhill after, like,
Do you
just
think
bad.
you expected to get them out and to
There you
feel
go.
perfect?
I think that's maybe what I was looking for. Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, I'm going to get these out because I hear all these success stories where girls get them out and then they're like amazing and
They
nothing's,
open their eyes and their eyes are
yes,
white again.
yes, they open their eyes, or they're white again. You know, I'm like, you were just under the knife. Like, I mean, hey, and I'm not knocking anyone. No, I get it. I know a lot of people who have them, who don't have them, who have them removed and they feel good. Some people like, I feel nothing. I was one of those people. Everyone asked me about breast implant illness. Do you feel like you had BII? No, I don't. I feel like I had years of putting my body through extremes, and I feel like I had a fuck ton of suppressed emotional things I never worked through.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I feel like I had, that led to and manifested into the extreme gut issues, hormonal imbalances, all the things. So I was still sick. I was still pretty sick in 2019.
Do you think post explant was your lowest?
I think 2018 was still my lowest. Like, I was low.
Yeah.
I was low.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that would be the runner up.
Yeah.
2019. It was still like, I was still reaching for all of these things. And
yeah.
I kind of want to like close it out here because I want to get to these questions for a part 2 with you guys. But we want, this goes back to that instant gratification. We want things to be fixed now. We want to reach for the supplement, the influencer, the doctor, the pill, whatever it is to fix us, when sometimes you really need to, like, this whole, like, there's a saying, it's like slow down to speed up. Sometimes you need to slow the fuck down and take a few steps back. Let your body get into that parasympathetic, rest and digest, not that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. You need to be in that parasympathetic, slow state. Your nervous system needs to be regulated for any type of healing to begin. When you are constantly like, I need to fix this, I'm not good, I'm not healed, this person will help me do this, what should I add next? You're so dysregulated that, like, you can't even make a clear, conscious decision. Like, you can't. And that was my life for like 2 years. I was making decisions so much based out of like so much fear and expectation. Oh, just this one more thing, just this surgery, just this procedure, just this pill, then this doctor. Like, I wanted that one thing to fix me or quote unquote heal me, whatever. And I think, yes, there are things that can add to your healing. Certain foods, certain things, working with getting the right testing done. Yes, you can get, I'm not saying those are not like beneficial. You can get answers and start to like navigate, but you really need to take a step back and let your body just like relax a little bit, and your mind. get off social media. There are so many conflicting things. Like, the advice I give is not really like, take this, do this, cut out this, add this. It's just more like, let's get back to the basics, to the fundamentals, let your body chill, let your mind chill. And that's how you, like, I truly believe, move forward. No one likes to hear that answer because, like, how do I do that? Which we can get into, but it's like really simple. Does that make sense, Mel? Am I making sense?
You're making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think people want it's not, people don't want someone or something else to do the work for them, but I mean, maybe they kind of do, you know?
Sometimes.
Like,
I think it depends on the person.
no, it's, you get so desperate for this like specific tangible thing that's going to fix you because you're in so much distress or in so much pain. And it's easier to think that like you can do this one thing every day and that's going to fix it. Or you can stop doing this and it's going to fix it. Or you can take this and it's going to fix it. But to have to actually like consciously change how you think, what your habits are, how you go about life is very uncomfortable for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll do anything to avoid uncomfortability, and we will stay in pain sometimes, even to avoid being uncomfortable or change.
Yep.
So when you say to someone like, yeah, you have to maybe dig a little deeper in terms of things that you're suppressing or repressing or whatever, like that's, not only is it hard to understand, but it's also scary, and people don't really want to hear that or do that. You know?
hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Because everyone's like, well, what does that even mean? I'm like, when everyone's like, how did you heal your gut? How did you lose weight? How did you do this? How did you fix your hormones? I'm not perfect. I still have my moments for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come like night and day, long way difference in my health and in my body and in my mental state.
Yeah, your mindset.
Yeah. And that came with like digging deep.
Mm-hmm.
That came with like, I remember in 20, when did COVID start? Was that 2019 or 2020?
I think it was 2020.
It was 2020. Okay. I remember in 2020, I was doing all this shit with like trying to detox my liver. Your liver detoxes, it does that for you. I was like, no, I need to detox it. Like, no, your liver does that for you. It's actually amazing.
The liver is like one of the most amazing organs in our body.
Literally, like every like minutes, like, you know what I mean? It's always detoxing. But I'm like, no, I'm doing like liver flushes and detoxing and fucking
parasite
hydrotherapy and all of these things. Okay. I was still really messed up. Me and Christopher were going through it. It was right before Christopher and I broke up. And then I remember I started, so there was someone I follow and he always posted about like autoimmunity and like trauma and like how women and men, but he mostly focuses on women can develop like autoimmune issues and health issues through suppressed emotion and trauma. And I remember I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop all this liver shit and all these flushes and things I'm doing. I'm going to start like working with this person and I'm going to see what this is all about. So he's like, okay, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write like a biography of your life and everything that happened to you. And he also like, you know, does things like certain testing for health. Okay. And I was like, no, I want you to tell me like what tests I need to do. I want you to tell me like what things I need to take. Like, you're really smart. Can you tell me that? And he's like, yeah, sure, we can do that, but like not right now. Like, we need to start like with your mental health. And I'm like, really? Why don't you start like trying to meditate, slowing your mind down? I'm like, oh my God, what the like, ew. I didn't want to do that shit. I'm like, oh God. But I started with little things like that. And then I started working with a therapist or someone who like, her name's Jen, who really like tried to like get into my childhood and my life and my past relationships and past experiences and things that happened that I just swept under the rug. And when I started to release all of these things, I'm not completely healed from my, family stuff or whatever. I'm not. I'm trying and I'm doing the work and I'm aware. But when I started like actually opening my eyes to so much like blindness I had on things I just never wanted to see, or things I didn't want to go there. That's when my body actually started to heal. And
Mm-hmm.
I say that to people and they're like, no, no. Like they just, even like family members. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to dig up some shit from your past. You got to like start to like heal and kind of like, comfort these wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And people just, they're like, what pill can I take? What flush can I do?
I also think
It's okay.
a lot of times, especially like a little bit of our or my generation and the previous generation, I feel like a lot of times we don't really see the point in acknowledging things we can't change.
Mm,
So we don't want to dig up the past, and we don't want to, because like we can't change it. We
yeah.
can't change who our parents are. We can't change our experiences. And people don't understand that acknowledging those things like take away the power that they have over you.
Yes.
And listen, I truly believe that me personally, at least, I will never fully heal from some of the things that I've been through. I don't think it's something that all of a sudden is going to be like closed up in my heart and I'm never going to feel it again. But I can know that it's there, and I can know when it comes up, and I can understand it and accept it. And is, that's healing to
I
me.
was literally just gonna say, Mel, that is healing.
Yeah.
Maybe not like heal, seal, deal. I'll never think about this again and move on my merry way. But what you're doing, that is healing,
100%.
you
But
know?
people think that you're going to go to a therapist and listen, I'm speaking because I have a husband who, not anymore, but he used to not understand the point. He was like, I don't understand the point. I can't change it. I can't fix it. But he, maybe what I mean to say is that healing doesn't equal changing or fixing. And there's so many things that, I don't know, like that are affected every day.
Yes.
Physical, mental, your perspective, your reality, how you see things, how you react to things. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the more in tune that you can get and the more you can accept and understand yourself and your life experiences, the more present and in power you're going to feel.
Yes. Yeah. And that comes like full circle to like, just like where the mind goes, the body follows. Like
Mm-hmm.
it truly does. It doesn't matter like how much money you spend on supplements or detoxes
No.
or doctors. If your mind is in a bad place, and if you're constantly stressed and you're around shitty people or people who don't lift you up, and you don't have any boundaries with anyone, and you're in a relationship where there's a ton of negativity and you feel like shit and all of these things, it doesn't matter what you do externally, because your literal environment is still the same, and
Mm-hmm.
that is what is making you sick. Like
Mm-hmm.
straight up. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just, and the next episode, you guys, I want to get into like, yes, there are things that can affect you, like an imbalanced gut and mold and parasites. Sure, there are little things that like, yeah, that can cause issues, but like you can heal that, you can fix that. But like the mind is the biggest thing when it comes to your health. It really is. I'm like I say that with like a lot of confidence, and I'm a firm believer because I actually experienced it and went through it. So, yeah.
We're going to close out because Courtney has to leave. She has an appointment. But I want to say here that hearing you say that is huge,
Mm.
because just a short, probably 2 years ago, you were in a very victim mindset. And to hear someone that used to be in a victim mindset now speak with such conviction that you actually have the power and you have control is huge. So I feel
Yeah.
like you should be really, really, really proud of yourself.
Oh, thanks, Mel. I love you. Thanks, Boo. Yeah.
So next time, and like Courtney, she's so smart. She also does have like tangible takeaways.
Yeah.
But I think the point is here that you don't want to waste people's time and money, because if this is not sorted through, everything
Yes.
that follows in the next episode is going to be a waste of time, money, and energy.
Yeah. I can tell you all the things. Oh, you could buy this supplement. You could take this herb.
Foods.
You could,
Like, yes,
yeah,
all these
cut out
things.
this
She's,
food.
yeah. And honestly, we'll talk about that next episode, and we'll do the questions next episode. And I think what we should actually do is maybe me and you can film on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we'll put these 2 up in a row.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
we'll do
Like
like
boom,
2.
boom?
Yeah, we'll do 2 in a week. We'll do like Wednesday and Thursday posts or something.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of information and it's really important. And I think people like care, and you have a lot to give here.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. You too. I mean, I know you haven't like you went through shit though, and you're a walking example, and you're also taking this shift from like just like externally focused to like more of like, hey, I want to be a mom, I want to conceive, I want to do like internal health.
I feel like I have a lot to like take from this, which is like, I'm happy that we're doing this for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And we want to give you guys something to take away from all of this too. But like the number one thing, like Mel said, you really need to like slow down, get your mind in a state of acceptance, and maybe go back in time and get with a therapist, or leave a relationship, add that friend in that you've been missing. Like those little things go such a long way, and we don't like see those as answers, but like those are huge things that can propel you forward in your healing journey. And that would be step 1. Step 2 is all the fun questions we'll get into next time for the part 2. Like I literally have them all screenshotted here, and they're amazing. But yeah, let's all do step 1 first, which is the mind. For sure.
Okay. Well, that was great. That flew by.
Yeah, that was awesome. We didn't even get to an hour 30, but I have to go. I'm getting a lymphatic drainage massage.
No, she has an appointment far away. Plus, like, I'm going to Toronto and I need to get on the road.
You gotta leave.
Go watch Fuad's live podcast, because it'll be up by the time that this is up, and I'm going to be on it probably terrified and crying because I'm with a bunch of like crazy men. But you go enjoy your lymphatic drainage. Thanks, and then we'll see you guys next time to go over questions and to talk some more about, healing, really.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, you have so much fun in Toronto.
You have fun at your massage.
Thank you, lover.
Okay,
bye, guys.
Bye.